publish accordingly the Federal Register notice and announce that TPS was available to people in the United States as of July 29th. We were accommodating to the conditions in the country, as is our legal obligation to do so. We then saw the tragic and devastating earthquake in Haiti. That earthquake, as tragic and devastating as it is and was, is distinct from the January 10, 2010 earthquake that was not as geographically limited as this one is. We made an assessment based on the country conditions, as we are required to do, that a redesignation of Haiti was not warranted on the facts, on the conditions in Haiti, that Haiti could in fact receive individual safety. TPS is available to those who have been in the United States before July 29th, and that is not changing.
Go ahead.
Secretary. Ken Bolestino with CBS 11 Dallas Fort Worth. Thanks for being here. I just wanted to piggyback a little bit on what the colleague mentioned here. She mentioned in the past couple of days, but for many of us who've been reporting on this situation for months now, we know that border officials have been sort of setting off alarms, sending red flags to Washington. We need help. Why is it taking so long for you all to sort of dedicate this amount of attention and resources to the border finally, after we see what's happening in that bridge?
As I mentioned before, the surge in resources has been commensurate with the surge in migration.
Heather?
Mr. Secretary, I'm Pedro Rojas with Univision National News. Welcome to the border. I'm going to when you saw about touring the shelter under the bridge, what impacted you the most? And is there a way that you think this could not replicate? Because we have heard that there are groups similar to this one going to Reynosa, Tamaulipas, and possibly the capital city scenario in the next few days.
So let me part of your question first, and then the profound question you posed at the outset. We are communicating, as we have now for months, loudly and clearly, that irregular migration, the perilous journey, is not the journey to take. One risks one's life, the life of one's loved ones, for a mission that will not succeed. We have been, we are, and will continue to exercise the public health authority of the Centers for Disease Control in light of the fact that this country and this world is confronting a pandemic. Number one. Number two, I saw many different things when I visited the bridge earlier today. It's not the first time that I've visited the bridge during my tenure. First and foremost, let me speak of the heartbreak, because it is tragic to see families, vulnerable individuals who've been exploitative smuggling organizations. It is tragic and it is heartbreaking. I also see, once again, the heroic work of the United States Border Patrol, of field operations, of our state and local partners, and everyone in civil society also coming to the rescue to address the needs of this population as we execute our border authorities as we are required to do to meet the challenge.
Secretary, can you describe the conditions currently? As of Saturday and Sunday, people were able to stream somewhat at will, back and forth. The dam is now closed, but further downriver, folks have been able to effectively go back and forth. Do you have operational control of this stretch of border?
We do, and the decision with respect to the movement of people is a calculated decision to meet the operational needs and serve our operational control.
Mr. Secretary, so you've stated repeatedly that this is a challenge, but last month you were recorded privately saying that what's been happening along the border is unsustainable and admitting that there's a crisis. So I'm asking, would you publicly admit right now, when you admitted privately, that what happened was a crisis?
I'm going to stop you right there. Let me just say very clearly. We are focused on meeting the challenge. We are focused on mission.
Is this surge any different than what we've seen in the RGV? What's different about this particular surge?
So oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, please. This is certainly distinct from the other large movements of migrants that we have observed and to which we've responded. I'm going to let the Chief Ortiz provide more detail.
As most of y'all know, I was the deputy and the chief in RGV for 5.5 years. And so the big difference is, one, this is a much smaller community than the Rio Grande Valley, so the capacity, both the CBP and some of the other agencies and partners, is much smaller. Secondly, this was a very rapid surge across the border. What we see in RGV, which continues to be the busiest place in the country, has been steady throughout the year. But Del Rio, over the last 6 to 7 months, has seen an uptick in traffic, and we continue to move resources into the area. But more importantly than this, they concentrated in one location in South Texas. They spread out over multiple locations, and so that is the primary difference between the two.
We have time for 2 more. Sandra, and then over here.
Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary. Could you respond to Texas Governor Greg Abbott? Letter sent to the Biden administration today requesting a federal declaration for emergency be declared for the entire state of Texas based on what's happening here.
So we evaluate requests for such a declaration based on the facts on the ground. We will treat this request no different.
Hi, Secretary. We have one thing on the Texas Tribune. Images have come out of Border Patrol agents whipping Haitian immigrants. My question to you, do you think that's a humane way to treat migrants?
You are assuming facts, if I may say respectfully, you are assuming facts that have not yet been determined. Chief Ortiz is an experienced Border Patrol agent who's ridden horses, trained others to ride horses, can provide greater detail on the specifics.
I will tell you that the Horse Patrol units down here are going to play an integral part in the security response. As you know, we have about half of this area locked down, and we're working on trying to get the other side of the bridge completely locked down. And so what I asked our Horse Patrol units to do yesterday is to do an assessment and find out if we had any individuals in distress, and to be able to provide information and intelligence as to what as was witnessed in the video and some of the pictures. The migrants were going back and forth. We do not know who are the smugglers or who are the migrants. So it's important that those Border Patrol agents maintain a level of security for both themselves and for the migrant population as they were trafficking back and forth. But as the Secretary mentioned, I've ridden horses for several years. Operating in the riverine environment on horseback is a difficult situation, and trying to maintain those horses so we do not get in a position where we injure a migrant as they're trying to make that treacherous trek across that river is probably more important than anything, and I'm pretty sure and confident that happening. We will certainly look at the matter to make sure that we do not have any activity that could be construed as a response to law enforcement efforts that is unacceptable.
Just to add, because Chief Ortiz explained to me that to ensure control of the force, long reins are used, but we are going to investigate the facts to ensure that the situation is as we understand it to be, and if it's anything different, we will respond accordingly.
We can take one more from our young journalist over here, and then Secretary can close out.
That could be any number.
Will you be requesting assistance from the Department of Defense? There is obviously, law enforcement is overwhelmed here, so do you plan on asking assistance from the DoD?
So it's a very good question because, in fact, the approach has been an all of federal government effort, and frankly, in all of federal government effort in partnership with state and local authorities and with civil society. And the Department of Defense is evaluating a request for assistance, and we hope that will come to fruition very shortly. We just want to thank you for being here. This is a very difficult situation for us. working. We are meeting the challenge. We are addressing the vulnerabilities of individuals. We are surging resources not only to ensure the security of this area, the security of the community, but also the well-being of the migrants themselves to address their needs, their food needs, their water needs, their medical needs, any other needs that they might have. Thank you so much for being here.